Do you like my grout fit? I know the moment you've all been waiting for. Did I get to all of these books? Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and obviously we're wrapping up all of the books that I read in June. A little asterisk here. It is June what day is it? Today is June 27th, but I'm filming this 3 days early because I am going out of town. Although I don't know, I highly doubt I'll finish anything in the next 3 days, but if I do, it'll just be rolled over into my July wrap up. So I did make a TBR for June. And it was very ambitious. I had like 10 books that I really wanted to get to and then 7 books that I would like to add in there if I could. Did I get to all 17? Of course not. Of course not. Y'all know me better than that. And so first I'm going to start out with Infinite Jest. I did not read this. I tried to start this and my brain said, bitch, we're stressed, we're depressed, and we're very much a hot mess. So this book is almost 1,000 pages. The print is teensy, like the margins are small. I still plan to read this and vlog it, but my life is too chaotic right now. And so I'm just gonna wait until we're moved and settled. So that might not be till like the latter part of the fall. I do want to read this year though, but I just need my life to be calmer so that I could actually read this and like dedicate the time to it. Because right now I have too much going on. So I did not get to this, but I will get to it before the end of the year. That is my goal. And there will be a vlog for it because I feel like I'm going to have a lot of thoughts. So just so you know about that one. But I did. And then if you did watch my May wrap up, I don't know about time, then you know that I did technically cheat my June TBR because I finished a few books at the end of the month. And so I did finish The Stardust Thief, which was on my June TBR. I finished The Hunting Wives, and then I DNF'd People We Meet on Vacation and Liberty, and Book of Night. I read that one. So those were the ones I cheated and finished in May. So I already talked about those. Okay, so as far as the rest of the books on my TBR, I did finish The City Inside by Sumit Basu. This is out already, I'm pretty sure. And I did not love this. I'm really sad because it's a very interesting premise. I just feel like it needed more. Like it touched on some things that I wanted more of a story, because this is like a near future New Delhi in India. And it's just like our world, but exacerbated. Like Big Brother is even worse. Like there's cameras and microphones everywhere. Social media is even a bigger part to like literal people's career. Like it's just our world, but like magnified. And then there's also adding in all of the issues that, you know, India has itself with different religions and class and stuff like that. And so there were 2 characters and I just didn't get attached to either one of them. And one, she basically, I don't even know she like directs, she's like a role director or something with like their big social media thing, but it's basically like people's live on display, but it's like social media. I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. And then there's someone else who like comes in to work with her. I think this is for people who love ideas. Bethany, if you're watching, I think you would love this book if you have not read it. It is very idea heavy, but the ideas don't get explained enough or explored enough for me to enjoy it. And I don't know how else to explain this book except very cool concepts and ideas, but it didn't explain it enough for me. But if you just love that enough that you're like, I love the idea, we don't have to dive deep into it, maybe you would love it. But I did love this one, so I'm very sad about that. But such is life. You can't love every book, right? So as far as book of the month, What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins, I started this. the audio, and I don't care. I was confused. I kept listening. I don't care. It's a mystery. It's set in Washington. I think this cover is fun. It makes me think of Washington. It makes me miss Washington. When something happens, I don't remember. I don't care. I literally just was like, I think I got like 15%. I don't care. I don't think I'm missing anything. So to the free library it goes. But then I did read Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala, and I did really enjoy this one. I gave it a 3.75, rounded up to a 4 on Goodreads. Finally a cozy mystery for me that I liked. So Lila moved back from Chicago to help her family out with their restaurant, and her ex-boyfriend is, I don't know if it's really his job or he's just taken on the title to basically write reviews of like restaurants in the area, and he's been writing shitty reviews about restaurants in the area, including her family's restaurant, Tito Rosie's Kitchen. This is a Filipino-American author, and so the restaurant is Filipino, and it made me hungry hearing all of the recipes and then just talk about the food. And I think there are recipes included in this. I might keep this. Hold on. I might actually keep this copy because there are recipes in the back of this book. But essentially, her ex-boyfriend from college, I think, is writing shitty reviews about a lot of restaurants in town. She moves back to, I think it's like Shady Palms or where she's from, to help the family out with the restaurant. He comes in, he's being an ass, and he like starts to have issues, and he ends up dying right after eating food from their restaurant. So now the police are looking at her family, and they're like, we didn't do it. And she and her friend are kind of doing their own detective work, and sometimes with help from her aunties to try to figure out who did it, to clear their family name, because their family restaurant has to be closed until they solve this case. So it was just super fun. The aunties and grandma had me rolling. Oh, they're so funny. Even when they're like being, you know, the typical, you've put on weight, but you need to eat some more. You know, like, they were just hilarious. I really liked Lila and her relationship with her best friend, whose name I'm drawing a blank. And her best friend works at this coffee shop, and she was experimenting with beverages and stuff. And you know, and Lila bakes, and you know I love baking. And so she was like baking to contribute to the family restaurant. It's just, I love food. You hear me? I love to eat. And so in a book, I ate it up. And so I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. And now I was going to put this in the free library, but now I'm going to keep this because I want the recipes in the back, because this book made me hungry. And then because this one was so much fun, I didn't realize there was already a second one out called, I think it's called Homicide and Halo Halo. Yes. And so that I got on audio from the library. I like that one a little bit less, because, and the author says this in the beginning of that book, the author's note was saying, like, because of when she wrote this, it was during the pandemic and a lot of things, so like, you know, mental health. This book does have some heavier topics. So obviously Lila is in this book, and she's still dealing from the trauma from the first book. I mean, she saw somebody die in front of her and all the things her and her family went through. So there's a lot of talk about mental health, and there's also some like comments on body and like her family talking about her body and all these different things. So it did have a heavier tone than the first book, and also they're like trying to encourage her to go to therapy, and she's very like, I don't need to go to therapy. But there's some interesting conversation there when she talks about, you know, being with her Filipino family and how they're going to look down on that. And I can definitely relate to that, being a black woman, because a lot of black people look down on therapy and they're like, oh, you just need to pray. Why be stressed? Why be depressed? You just need to pray. And you're like, girl, that's not how that works. But Homicide and Halo Halo is like, I think the Halo Halo was like ice cream. And so of course, you know me, I love ice cream. But in this one, Lila had been in a pageant years ago, and so she's invited to be a judge for a pageant for like the teens in the area. And something happens to one of the people connected to the pageant, and then it's like, oh, Lila, you and your family are around this again. And then there's suspicion, and of course her and her friend are back on the scene trying to figure it out, what happened. But yeah, this is definitely a cozy misery. This is a cozy mystery series I can see myself continuing to enjoy. There is a third one, I think, that already has a title. I don't know how many she plans to write, but I will just keep I will keep reading them because I find them really fun. The third one here says Blackmail and Bibinka. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That comes out in, oh my God, it comes out in October. Perfect. I will be reading that one this October, but I hope that she keeps writing them because they are very enjoyable. If you read these and really liked it, and if you know of any other cozy mystery series that are similar to this, let me know, because I've tried some other ones that I haven't loved, but I really have enjoyed those two. So I would like to find more. Before I forget, I'm going to do the books that I don't have physical copies of. I read The Charm Offensive because I was kind of having a slumpy start to my month where I finished The City Inside and then I didn't read anything for like a week, or I didn't finish anything. So I was like, let me get a romance. It was on Scribd and I had heard about it. It is a male romance. I'm not sure, the author's name is Allison Cochran. I'm not sure what they identify as, so I'm not gonna like make an assumption that it's a cis woman writing a male romance, but it is a male romance that's between a white dude and an Indian American. I did enjoy this overall. I will say that so there's Dev and Charlie. Charlie has OCD. I'm not OCD, so I don't know how well that was represented, but then also just content warning, knowing that going in. And it's more like, and again, so this is me not knowing if this is like accurate representation, when something is like out of place or something, like there's a stain or there's like something on someone's face or like something's not right, he like hyper fixates on it and can't focus on anything until like that's taken care of, or he kind of like gets really overwhelmed. But I feel like that plus Dev has some mental health issues as well, and he's been through depression and, you know, was treated for that when he was younger, but now he's older and he doesn't want to go to therapy. So they both have their own issues that they're dealing with that, you know, may get heavier than typical normal romance that I prefer. But they both had great friends who I really loved their friends. And so Charlie is this super smart but awkward dude who, you know, was like graduated super early or whatever, very smart in tech, launched this company, became a millionaire by 25 or whatever. But he recently like stepped down from his company, but it turns out may have been something else that happened, and he's trying to kind of like rebrand his image. And Dev works for this reality show that he's watched since he was little and like believes in, like, you know, fairy tales and true love or whatever. But the reality show is very like men date women. It's very heterosexual, that's it. But he works for this reality show and he's out as a gay man. Charlie is not, and he doesn't even know, he's questioning, like. So they meet obviously because Dev is working with Charlie when he comes on the show, and Charlie is like super awkward, so Dev has to really like make him be less awkward, so he, you know, it's entertaining TV. People don't think there's just this like weird guy that none of these ladies would actually fall in love with. And so during all these things and all these like different competitions and tasks and whatever that the ladies have to do in order to try to win him over, they make connections, or like they bond and spend time together because, you know, they're traveling to different places, or like he has to talk to Charlie. He tries to help him through things when he's like really having a hard time. And so there are really sweet moments like that, especially when he was just like, you know, you have all your quirks, but those are things I really like about you, like just be yourself. What I feel like I didn't love, obviously, is like, I don't want to say I didn't love the mental health representation, because it's always great to see that. It just, sometimes when I just want a light romance and I go into it not knowing that, and that's kind of my own fault, I don't know if it's in the description, then I'm like, okay, this is kind of bringing me down. I kind of wanted just something super light. And then also with the reality show, it just felt so long. I was like, oh my God, how many more weeks of this reality show? Like, we do not need to go through each week. I felt like it was kind of dragging on, but overall, I mean, I liked it. It was fun. Not my favorite, but I didn't hate it. This is my 5th video in a row that I'm filming. That's right, Heather. 5th video in a row that I'm filming. And I feel like I've talked about this book a million times, but I don't think I have done so in the wrap up. So the next book I read was Chaos on Catnip, which is the follow-up to Catfishing on Catnip by Naomi Kreitzer, recommended to me by Angela from Literature Science Alliance. And I loved it. It was great. I didn't love it as much as the first one, but I still did love it. It was really enjoyable. And it continues with our main characters from the first one, but we introduce another character who has basically left or been taken from like an evangelical cult, but she doesn't know where her mom is, and so our main character, Steph, is trying to help her figure out where her mom is and also where her best friend is, because her best friend's like not answering her phone, and so danger ensues. And our AI is back. Is there other AI? Her online friends are there to help her get through this. Just a great time. Great young adult science fiction mystery duology. I want another one, honestly, because I love the online friend group so much. A really fun found family aspect. I love the AI, and yeah, I don't know, it was just a fun time. There's robots and hacking and, you know, maybe a shootout. Great time. Also, polyamory representation in this one, because the new evangelical gal is living with her dad, who has a wife or a girlfriend who has a girlfriend, and then they also have a girlfriend. Polyamory. And I was like, we love to see it. We love to see it. So yes, thank you, Naomi. I read The Killing Moon with my patrons for our book club. This is the first of the Dream Blood duology by N.K. Jemisin. This, I believe, is the first book she wrote, not the first one she published, and I did not love it. Very sad about it. The premise is very interesting. In this society, there is like this god, and there are certain people who are chosen, essentially, who are gatherers. I think that's what they're called. And essentially there are certain people who are chosen to die, and they go to like kill them, but they do it really peacefully, like through like putting them to sleep, essentially, like taking them into the dream world but killing them, and then you get their dream blood. But then there's also dream seed, and there's two other dream something, and they're all used for different reasons. Like the dream blood is used for like injuries and stuff, but if they're more complicated, you need the dream seed. But then there are people, of course, who don't believe in what they do, like they see it as very honorable, and there are other people who just see them as murderers. And then there is now this rumored reaper going around, like killing people, but not in a peaceful way. Like they're found looking very distressed instead of looking like the peaceful way if they had been taken into the dream world. And it's like, what's going on? Is it one of these gatherers? Is it someone else trying to make them look bad? So very interesting. A lot of politics. There's like a prince, and there's like a separate city, but I couldn't connect to any of the characters. I found it really slow and not engaging enough for me. At times I was like, what was the point of this, or this person being here, this interaction, this character in general? I feel like maybe the last 25% it starts ramping up to like the end, and that was the most entertaining part for me. But the sad part is I was rooting for the bad guy, because the you know, the side I guess we're supposed to be on, I just found them so dull. So I was rooting for the bad guy in the last part of the book. So I didn't love this. I know some of my patrons did really enjoy it. I want to read the other one. I did put up a poll, because in my Patreon for the book club, we're going to be doing like series, so like trilogies, duologies, whatever, not super long series. And so this was the first one, and there is a second book, and I put up a poll if people wanted to read the second book for next month. And last time I looked at it last night, it was overwhelmingly wanted to start a new series. So Angela did tell me some things about the second one that I'm like, I would be willing to give it a try, but I don't want to go into it immediately. I'm just really sad. I hope that I like the 100,000 Kingdoms more, but yeah, this one just, it did not work for me. I think I gave it a 3. I read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Is that it, the name? And this has been taking, I feel like, BookTube and Bookstagram and book Twitter by storm, and it is an epic fantasy with a high fantasy, low stakes, a very slice of life fantasy where we have an ogre, and I am so bad with everyone's names. And this also was, I think this was self-published or indie published, but got picked up by Tor. So Viv is an orc. My battery is gonna die. Fresh battery. Okay, what was I talking about? Legends and Lattes. This is high fantasy, low stakes. We have Viv, who is an orc who spent her life, you know, battling and traveling all around, being a badass, but wants a different life. And so she retires, and in her travels, she visited like this, are they gnomes? Are they dwarves? A village of some people, some entities, and they had coffee. And she was like, this is amazing. And so she finds a village she wants to settle down in, finds a place, and is opening up a coffee shop. And here's the problem. Nobody knows what coffee is there. So the first person she meets that's like helping her like build, like renovate the space, she's like trying to explain it, and she, you know, pulls out the coffee beans, like grinds it and everything. And like, so bean juice, like hot bean juice. And it's just a fun, easy, low stakes, cozy book. Lots of different creatures. She has a succubus that comes to apply, who is basically her, you know, lead barista, really the only other person who works there. Some of them, they would have like names for what they're called, and I don't know what kind of animal they were, but like they have this little, I don't know, in my mind, I picture a bunny. I don't know why. I don't know what he was, but he was the baker. And he made cinnamon rolls, and I was drooling. And then he made like basically pain au chocolat, like the croissants with chocolate in the middle. And then he made these little like cookies, or biscuits, if you will. And everyone would just be like, oh my God, this is amazing. And once like, you know, it might have been a slow start. Once people like start tasting the coffee, and then, you know, they would evolve their menu, and it was just super cute. There is a little subplot. Like the main plot is this experience, her going on this, trying to restart her life, trying to make a successful business, you know, getting to know people in this community. But there are some people who may not want the best for Viv and her coffee shop, and who come poking around and make trouble. And so she has to handle that. But again, it's not really high stakes, so it's not like, oh my God, super intense. It gets wrapped up fairly easily, but I feel like that's the point. You just don't go in thinking this is gonna be some epic fantasy, major battle, 3-book series. It's just a low-key good time. I will say that I expected more romance, because I feel like I was hearing people talk about the romance between Viv and, I forgot what her name is. I can't remember what the succubus's name is. And you know, they do build a relationship that's more of a friendship for the most part, and so you really don't see kind of that romance towards the end. So I do think I was thinking it was gonna be more of a fantasy romance, and that really was a small part of the story. But still really, really enjoy this one, and we'll read whatever else he writes. I feel like when I saw the announcement for tour, it said for 2 books, so I don't know if he's writing something else like in this world or something similar, but I would definitely read another one, especially with that little, whoever that little man is who's baking. Oh my God. Loved. Last book that I don't have physically is Strictly Professional by Christina C. Jones. It was another late night where I was like, I just need to read something light. I listened to the audiobook on Scribd, I think. So our main character, Gabby, was in a relationship, and the dude was really shitty, cheated on her, and her family really wants her to marry him. And anyway, she finishes law school. She moves away from home into Atlanta, I believe, where her uncle has a law firm. She starts working there, but she has a roommate that she goes out with on the first night, and the roommate's with her boyfriend. So anyway, she's at the bar by herself. This guy comes up, they hit it off, they're talking, you know, exchange numbers, whatever. And then when she finally goes into work for the first day, she finds out that he is going to be like her, basically, like, I don't know if you want to call it like an advisor or something, for like a year. And they're like, well, crap, now we can't date. So it goes through, you know, the struggles of working, because they're working like side by side together on everything with a person that you're very attracted to, but you know you're not supposed to be dating because you know you need to be professional in this setting. And her uncle kind of makes a thing of like, stay away from her, obviously, because that's his niece. But then also her family, you see her interactions with them, and they're the worst, and the ex-boyfriend is the worst. And so there's just content warning for some domestic violence. But it was Christina C. Jones, so of course it was great. I had fun reading it. Her characters just always feel really real, like all of their dialogue, it just seems like real people and not just like written dialogue. So I think that was pretty short. It was a novella. I think there's a second one. So I will have to read that one. But yeah, it was great. Oh, I'm tired of talking, but I have 3 left. I did finish. Oh my God, why? I made the worst decision. I did finish these both for my book club. And I say I made the worst decision just because choosing both. I should have just fucking chose one, and I didn't. Anyway, I finished The Gates of Europe, A History of Ukraine, and also read Famine. This is definitely a history book. This is something that I will keep to reference because it literally starts back in like BC, you know, before COVID, before crack. This goes back really far. But so listening to it, I couldn't listen to a lot of it at a time because I would just like start to blank out, and because it's literally like a history book, like a well-written history textbook. It covers a lot of time. So as like an enjoyable read, no, but informative and something to go back to and reference for History of Ukraine, great. Then I thought I would love this one more, but this one also does spend a good amount of time on history, but not like as wide a time. It doesn't cover as much time as Gates of Europe in the beginning. And I kind of was like, okay, well, I just left that book to come to this one hoping I was getting more of a narrative story, and then it really in the second half it does turn into that, and that sounds bad, but that was more gripping, that kept my attention more. Some of it was really hard to listen to, certain things people were going through with this famine, and things that, you know, were having people turn on their neighbors, and the things that people would do to try to keep food for their family, and how they were punished. And so that was really hard. But there was something about Anne Applebaum's writing that I just didn't love. Like, it just didn't come together for me. So I still think this is well written. I just don't know if her voice I loved, which makes me nervous because I have another book by her, but we'll see. But I will never do this again and choose to unless they're both like, I don't know, 100 pages. I'm so sorry if you read both of them because I'm a jerk. But anyway, the live show for that will be July 9th, I believe. Once I get back, I need to post about that actually. But I'm glad to have gone through these, and I think at a different time in my life when I want to come back to these and reference these at different points and not be forced to read them, I may appreciate, or I may get more from them, if that makes sense. And finally, I finished, literally last night, The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. Y'all probably know of this from Elliot Brooks, who I think popularized it on YouTube. Because I hadn't heard of it before Elle talked about it. My patrons picked this for me to read and review for them. So I posted a review for them specifically, so I won't go into super detail here, but I really did love this. This is an epic fantasy, but it also is fun. There's a lot of funny moments there. This is a very unique world. There's like a place called Ebora, so the people from it are Eborans, and they're almost like elves because they lived for thousands of years. But their god has died or gone or disappeared or is taking a 1,000-year nap, who knows. And so they've started to die out, and they've had to seek other methods of trying to live, but then that has backfired and caused this really nasty disease amongst them. And so one of our main characters is an Eboran who's like, I'm leaving because if that's what my life is going to end up, I at least want to see some of the world before I die. And he meets another one of our main characters. Her name is Vintage, and she's amazing. She's this black woman who's like an explorer, and she's just very curious and does a lot of research into things because she just wants to know things. And I'm like, relatable, sis, relatable. And then we have Noon, who's a witch, and Noon is angry. And it is just very interesting how that all comes together, how the characters intersect. The different creatures, the different magic you learn about, what's going on with the Eborans and their god and their people and this disease, and is that like the end of them? Is there hope? There's these other things that like Vintage is researching, and you're like, why does it matter? What are these things? Isn't this like something of the past? It is. This was really, I haven't been reading a lot of high fantasy, and this was, I think, a really great introduction back into it because it was so unique. And at first I was very confused. I was never bored, but I was very confused about all the different things that were going on. And then I feel like I hit my stride around like 100, 120 pages and it really got going. So, and then the ending, I was like, I need to read the second one like soon because the ending stressed me out and I need to know what the frick is gonna happen. So if you already bought these because Elliot influenced you, you need to read it because it was super good and I am excited for the next two. And if from what I've heard from Angela and Elle, I think I'm gonna be, I think I might have to read the next one right after that and finish the trilogy. But really, really glad they voted on this one. I'm glad that I finally got to it. So that was a pretty good month. It started out, I was worried because literally in like the first 10 days I had read and finished one book. And then it, you know, I got into my stride. So I had some hits and misses, but some really good stuff and some stuff that I'm like, I've started, but obviously haven't finished for this month. So I'm tired of talking. I cannot believe I filmed 5 videos in one day. Oh my God, I deserve a cookie. I might go get myself a few lemon Oreos. But that is what I read in June. Let me know what you read, if you had any super highs or super lows. And yeah, we are now, when you're seeing this, probably in July, and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So anyway, I will list all these books down below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. Also in the description are always like my social media, so where to find me on the internet, ways to support my channel if you want to join my Patreon, so you can be in our book club with us. And I think that's it. So stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreened, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.